Hello everyone, we are going to start with the basics of spectroscopy. Firstly, we'll try to understand what is the reason we are interested in this very topic. So in old times, say 80 to 100 years back, whenever a scientist or group of scientists have to elucidate the structure of an organic compound, like to know the structure of the organic compound exactly, they need to do like various lab tests, like the test tube type of the chemistry, where you add reagents and from the results you get to know, or you do some indirect reactions and from that you find out, okay, this is a tertiary one, this is a secondary one, this is that one, this is a hydroxyl group. So this takes like years, like decades, to elucidate the structure of one organic compound. So it's very laborious, time consuming. But now we have this tool which is called spectroscopy. With the use of this tool, I can elucidate the structure of a compound in days. Like in less than a week, I can elucidate a structure of the organic compound. Like suppose you extract some organic compound of interest from the natural products, like from trees, their bark, their fruits. You want to know exactly what is the structure of it so that you can synthesize the same molecule in lab setting. In that case also, spectroscopy helps us a lot in elucidating the structure. Now, what is spectroscopy? It is basically the study of interaction of matter with light. Study of interaction of matter with light. I am saying light, but the actual word here should be electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic, because light is the connotation which is attached to light is the one which we can see, which is a very small part of a big thing, which is electromagnetic spectrum, right? So the electromagnetic spectrum is something like this. It has gamma rays, X-rays, these are all electromagnetic rays, UV rays, and this is the part which is visible to our eyes. This is a small part which is visible to our eyes, but this whole thing is the complete electromagnetic spectrum. Now, what is the meaning of electromagnetic radiation? The radiation which has an electric component and a magnetic component, which are perpendicular to each other as well as perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Okay, so suppose you can imagine it to be a corner of your room. So the corner of your room, so electric vector is on this side, magnetic vector or the magnetic wave is on this side, and this is the direction of propagation of the wave. So electromagnetic radiations have two components, electric component and the magnetic component, and they're perpendicular to each other. Now, before we go into the details of electromagnetic spectrum or how light interacts with matter and all that, we need to understand some terms which we'll be using time and again in this lecture. And to understand those subjects, we need to understand that light has a dual character, which means it behaves as a wave as well as a particle. And these two things are not opposite to each other. They are in a way like certain properties of light can be explained if we consider light to be a wave, like refraction, etc. And certain other properties of light can be explained if we consider light to be a particle, right? Like photoelectric effect, for which Einstein got the Nobel Prize, photoelectric effect, right? Now, at this point of time, we are considering light to be a wave, and we will understand what are the terms associated with wave, right? So when I say wave, the thing which comes to your mind is something which is like this. Okay, so this is it happened, but it is smooth as others are. Now, the first term which I want you to understand is wavelength. Wavelength. It is represented by the symbol lambda, Greek symbol lambda. Right? What is a wavelength? It is the distance between two successive crests or two successive troughs. That is lambda. Right? So distance, so if someone says, okay, so the distance between this and this, that's not lambda, that is 2 lambda. That's 2 lambda. So it is between the successive or the consecutive crests or consecutive troughs. And what are the units of wavelength? Since it is a length, so its units are the units of length. Meters, centimeters, etc. depending upon what you're talking about. Right? So this was wavelength. The second term which I want you to understand is frequency. Frequency. It is represented by the symbol which is called nu. This is again a Greek symbol. What is frequency? Frequency is like, suppose you are standing at a bus stop, okay, and there are, say, 2 buses. The bus number, say, 4, bus number, say, 24. So suppose in 1 hour, 4 number buses comes 3 times. 3 times in 1 hour. Number 4. So we'll say that the frequency of number 4 bus is 3 times per hour. And suppose in the same 1 hour, the frequency of 24 is 2 times in 1 hour. So the frequency of 24 number bus is less than that of this one. Okay. So what is a frequency? It is the number of times a wave passes through, like the wave passes through a certain point in a unit time. Right? Now, if I have, say, 2 waves, one is like this and the other one is, suppose, like the same wave, same type of wave, the other one is, suppose, like so this is the wavelength of wave with white color. This is the wavelength of wave with green color. Now, whose wavelength is more? The white one's is more. Now, whose frequency is more? If you are, suppose, looking from here, this is your eye, suppose, okay, and you're looking from here, and you are focusing on one point, which, suppose, this point, along this line you are seeing. So, which wave will you see more number of times as compared to the other one? So, you're going to definitely see the green ones moving more times because its wavelength is less, so that passes more number of times from the same point. You're looking from there, you're looking from here, so this will cross like this. The other one is a bigger one, so it means wavelength is inversely related to frequency, or frequency is inversely related to wavelength. By inverse relation, we means if one thing increases, the other decreases proportionally, right? And whenever we convert this proportionality to equality, then a constant of proportionality comes into play. And in this particular case, the constant of proportionality is c, which is the speed of light. Speed of light. Nu is equals to c by lambda. Very important relation. Very important relation. 2 important things which we concluded is that frequency is inversely related to wavelength, which means if wavelength is bigger, frequency would be lesser. Other thing is frequency is equals to speed of light divided by the wavelength of the wave. Fine. Other thing which I want to tell you along with this is that I told you that light has dual character. So by duality we mean that it is consisting of particles as well. And the particles of the light wave are called photons. Photons. The particles of light wave or electromagnetic radiation. Particles of EM radiation or light is called are called photons. And the energy of each photon, that is that packet of electromagnetic radiation, basically, not particles, packets is the better word, packets of electromagnetic radiation, and the energy of each packet is given by h nu, or energy of each packet is directly proportional to the frequency of the electromagnetic radiation. Now you can, if you want to, think on those lines that I'm saying that the energy of the packet, which is the particle, and then I'm saying it is directly proportional to the frequency of the wave. It means this equation is bridging the wave character with the particle character. So it's a very important reaction, important equation. This is energy of the packet, energy of a photon, and this is the frequency of EM light or electromagnetic radiation. And what is H? H is Planck's constant. Planck's constant. Its value is small, but its significance is big. Its value is 6.626 times 10 raised to the power minus 34 joules second. Right? Because frequency has the units of frequency would be, I'm saying that how many times it passes in 1 second. So its units are second inverse. The units of frequency are second inverse. Units of Planck's constant are joules second. Right? Now, third term which I want you to understand is wave number. Wave number. It is represented by the symbol nu bar. Nu bar. What does it represent? It is actually the reciprocal of wavelength. Reciprocal of wavelength. It is equals to 1 by lambda. So obviously its units would be the inverse of the length unit. So its units would be centimeter inverse or meter inverse, etc. What does it mean? It means, like, if I consider if this is a wave and I take a unit length like 1 centimeter or 1 meter or something like that. If I focus on, say, 1 meter or 1 centimeter, and this is suppose 1 centimeter, suppose this is 1 centimeter, then at that unit length, how many crests are there? So here there are 3 crests, so the wave number is 3 centimeter inverse. So the number of wave crests in a unit length, that gives you a wave number. Mathematically, it is the reciprocal of the wavelength. Fine. Why we need wave number? Because it makes the things more manageable. As you will see in IR spectroscopy, that if we plot the spectrum with the wavelength, then it expands from, like, it goes from 2500 to 25,000, which makes the things a little less intuitive. But with the use of wave number, that scale is manageable and more intuitive in many ways. Right? Now coming back to the electromagnetic spectrum. This is the electromagnetic spectrum. Now you can easily see that as we are moving from left to right, what is happening? You can see, look at the wave. What is happening? The wavelength is increasing. On the left hand side, the waves are like this. So wavelength is very small. On the right hand side, wavelength is big. Right? So if I'm saying that the wavelength is increasing, it means frequency is decreasing. Frequency is decreasing, right? Look here, we explained that frequency and wavelength are inversely related. And we also talked about the energy of this. Now frequency is C by lambda. So I can, just a moment, I can write E is equals to H times nu. Nu is C by lambda. So I can write HC by lambda. Focus on the left hand side where I'm writing. Which means that energy is inversely related to lambda. If something is having greater wavelength, it would have less energy. Right? So here, since the wavelength is increasing as we are moving from left to right, so energy is decreasing. So gamma rays are the most energetic, radio waves are least energetic in this spectrum range. And this visible range, which represent the Vibgyor, violet, indigo, orange, etc., etc. So here, this particular region is called infrared region, inferior to red in terms of energy. This region is ultraviolet, which means superior to violet in terms of energy, right? Now, why we are interested in understanding all this? because the lights of different wavelength interact with matter in a different way, and the way they interplay, their communication, it helps us, it gives us some information, and that information, if we decode it properly, that can help us in elucidating the structure of a compound under observation in a better way. So this was the basics of spectroscopy, why we study spectroscopy, what is happening in spectroscopy. So this all is covered here. In the next lecture, we'll be focusing on IR spectroscopy, which will help us in elucidating what type of functional groups are present in an organic compound. Thank you.